Well, I appreciate you guys coming and braving some real heat. I know it's uncomfortable outside. And, you know, welcome to our show. And if you're watching online, just so you know, you have not stumbled on Adult Friend Finder. But if we were, my ad would probably read, "Human toilet seeks good conversation and long walks on the beach." See, I should have ended on human toilet on that joke. Because the punchline was human toilet, but I started with it, and then you're all like, okay, we're gonna laugh, but we can't wait and then laugh. So we'll cut that in post and make that look like it was a really fucking killer joke. I'm not on a lot of that stuff, social media. Is anybody on Tinder? Where'd you fucking find this audience? At immigration? I don't mind you not answering, but nobody acknowledged that a question had been asked. I feel like that first little technical glitch really threw us into a fucking tailspin. Do we talk to him? I don't know. His shirt is really awful. Are those little anchors on his shirt? My friends are all getting laid on Tinder. I'm not on Tinder. I'm on Blister, which is the herpes app. We're shooting this in real time. It's actually going out to a German scat site. We really do have a great show here for you tonight, this being no indicator. We have Dave Attell, we have Rich Vos, we have Sherrod Small. Originally, we were supposed to have Richard Linklater. You know who that is, the director? But no, don't clap, he canceled. And he actually did a new film called Boyhood, which it took 12 years to make. He followed a kid for 12 years of his life, and every year shot different parts of this kid's life until he wound up in college. And Bryan Singer is already requested to do the sequel. Sorry, you don't have to turn around and read the monitor. I'm right here. This poor guy is trying to... This fucking guy who looks like the guy from the Operation game is actually... He's actually turning around. Of course, I try not to use a teleprompter too much, but, you know, we're doing different monologues every show. All of them high quality. And, you know, the teleprompter's part, I'm not used to working with a teleprompter, obviously. I'm just used to going up there and banging them out and fucking bombing, so it's nice to... you know, but I know, you look at the teleprompter, it's hard not to, but you can look at me. Believe me, I have low enough self-esteem where I feel like I'm losing a fucking 51-year-old male in the audience. Doesn't even want to stare at me. Well, the day has finally come, by the way. Last week, a computer passed the Turing test for the first time since 1950. The Turing test determines if a computer can convincingly think like a human being. And it should be noted that Shia LaBeouf has failed the Turing test 13 times. Anyway, the computer was able to convince a group of scientists that it was a 13-year-old Ukrainian boy named Eugene, which is terrible news. It used to be that when I would arrange a meeting with a 13-year-old boy in a factory, the only thing I had to worry about was it being the police. Now I have to worry that it's a robot. I don't want to fuck a 13-year-old robot. What do I look, Japanese? A New York guy using Airbnb. You know what that is? Where I guess you can like rent apartments or whatever. He loaned out his apartment to a man who claimed to need it for his in-laws to crash for a wedding. But when the guy came home early, he discovered that his apartment was being used to host a well-promoted plus-sized orgy. And the owner said he still cannot get the overwhelming odor of ham and Vaseline out of his apartment. And one of the fatzos from this Airbnb orgy complained that in the future they will not be surprise fucking in a 3-floor walk-up because they found it virtually impossible to maintain an erection after climbing that many steps. Because they get tired. What really fascinates me is how do they contact that many overweight people in the city? I mean, New York is not a very fucking friendly place. I can barely get a person on the train to maintain eye contact long enough for me to come. You know, on more than one occasion, I've come home and discovered fat people fucking, but I never called the papers. I would just say, look, Mom, Dad, in the future, close the door, because whatever you're doing is making my room smell funny and my picky, There's no way to fix that on the fly. I was gonna say my pillowcase sticky, but I said there's no way to make my picky. I guess I just rushed to the end of the word. I really am a no-talent cucker. And here's something else that made my Google News alerts really explode. After getting upset seeing his wife experience discrimination when it came to public breastfeeding their baby daughter, a Tennessee photographer named Hector Cruz started this thing called Project Breastfeeding and has a series of photos called If I Could, I Would, featuring shirtless men breastfeeding their kids. And it's the hottest fucking thing I have ever seen in my life. And if you address the monitors, well placed to the far corners of the room, here's a couple. That baby probably feels like Keith Richards with an e-cigarette. Isn't that Mountain from Game of Thrones? Or you could just go to the next one. I mean, why finish the... That's how you know the fucking people you work with are getting tired of you. All right, we're gonna scrap that one on the fly. Go back to the last one. I have a humdinger for the last one. What I was gonna say is, isn't that Mountain from Game of Thrones? I think he's breastfeeding Peter Dinklage. All right, that did better than I thought. And then here's this San Francisco asshole. I bet if he could, he would breastfeed at either a Smash Mouth concert or in an Abercrombie and Fitch stockroom. That guy looks like every guy in a rape scene from Sons of Anarchy. All right, let's just go to the next guy. What the fuck are we doing? Oh, yes. If I could, I would. I'll bet if he could, he would in the Albanian marketplace where he purchased these children. How creepy is that? And I don't mean to say, by the way, there are photos of public breastfeeding that are beautiful. Yeah. And by the way, the longest moment of my life was waiting for that. Because if that didn't come up, that means I sucked his tit for nothing. It was fucking, you know how long that took? Because the iPhone wasn't working. We had to stop because I kept like coming on his leg. We can clean this up for network TV, can't we?